When single mother Natalie desperately needs to leave work early for her sick daughter, her billionaire boss Lucas Montgomery makes her an offer she can't refuse. What starts as a simple fake relationship arrangement quickly spirals into something far more dangerous and passionate than either of them expected. Hello, beautiful souls. Tonight's story will take you on a journey where hearts are tested and destinies collide. Let's dig in. The fluorescent lights of Montgomery Innovations cast harsh shadows across Natalie Brooks' desk as she frantically typed the quarterly marketing report. The scent of stale coffee and printer ink filled the air, mixing with the distant hum of air conditioning that never quite managed to cool the building properly. At 28, Natalie had perfected the art of invisible efficiency, the kind that kept her employed but never promoted. Her phone screamed to life, cutting through her concentration like a knife. Riverside Elementary flashed on the screen, and ice flooded her veins. School's only called for one reason. This is Natalie Brooks. Mrs. Brooks, this is Nancy from the nurse's office. Emma has a high fever, and she's been vomiting. You need to pick her up immediately. Through the glass partition separating her cubicle from Lucas Montgomery's corner office, Natalie could see him gesturing sharply at three men in $1,000 suits. Lucas Montgomery. The name alone made her stomach clench. At 34, he'd built a tech empire that most men twice his age only dreamed of. His dark hair was always perfectly styled, his green eyes sharp enough to cut glass, and his presence commanded the kind of respect that came from never showing weakness. Natalie had worked for him for 18 months and had never seen him smile. Not once. She knocked on his office door, her palms slick with sweat. He held up one finger without looking at her, making her wait like a servant while her daughter suffered alone. When the meeting finally ended, he called her in with the same tone he'd used to summon a pest control service. Mr. Montgomery, I have a family emergency. My daughter is sick at school and I need to pick her up right away. His green eyes fixed on her with predatory intensity. How often does this happen? These disruptions to your work schedule? Heat flashed through her chest. Emma is a healthy child. This is only the second time this year. I'm a single mother, and sometimes these things are unavoidable. Lucas stood and walked to his floor-to-ceiling windows, hands clasped behind his back, like a general surveying a battlefield. The silence stretched until Natalie wondered if he was calculating the cost of firing her. I have a proposition for you, Miss Brooks. A proposition? He turned, his expression unreadable. You can leave early today. In fact, you can have flexible hours whenever you need them for family emergencies. No questions asked, no docked pay. Natalie's breath caught. What's the catch? I need a favor in return, a rather unconventional one. His voice dropped lower, more dangerous. Need a girlfriend. The words hit her like a physical blow. Excuse me? Not a real girlfriend. A fake one. Someone to accompany me to business dinners and charity galas. Someone to help me avoid the constant matchmaking attempts from business associates. Natalie stared at him, her mind reeling. All the things she'd expected him to say, this was the last. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Think of it as an acting job. 2 or 3 events per month. Nothing inappropriate, just social appearances. In exchange, you get the flexible schedule you desperately need. Her daughter was waiting, scared and sick. Her job barely paid the bills. The offer was insane, but so was her life. I don't have the right clothes for those kinds of events. Business expense, wardrobe, jewelry, whatever you need. His eyes never left hers. 6 months initially. If it works out, we can renegotiate. Can I think about it? Of course. But Miss Brooks? His voice carried a warning she didn't understand. Your daughter is waiting. As Natalie hurried to her car. She couldn't shake the feeling that Lucas Montgomery's offer was less about avoiding matchmaking and more about something far more dangerous. 2 weeks later, Natalie stood in front of her bathroom mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. The emerald silk dress Lucas had sent fit her perfectly, hugging curves she'd forgotten she had. The jewelry felt foreign against her skin, cold and expensive. She'd agreed to his proposition after 3 sleepless nights, driven by desperation and the promise of stability for Emma. The charity gala was held at the Ritz-Carlton, and Natalie's hands trembled as the elevator climbed toward the ballroom. Lucas waited in the lobby, devastating in his black tuxedo, but there was something else in his expression tonight, something hungry and predatory that made her skin prickle with awareness. "You look perfect," he murmured, offering his arm. His touch burned through the thin fabric of her gloves. The ballroom was a cathedral of wealth and power. Crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across marble floors, and the air hummed with conversation that could move markets and topple governments. Lucas guided her through the crowd with practiced ease, his hand possessive on the small of her back. Remember, he whispered against her ear, his breath hot against her skin. "We've been dating for 3 months. You work in marketing," I pursued. "You relentlessly, and you finally gave in to my charm." "What charm?" She shot back, and for the first time in 18 months, Lucas Montgomery smiled. The expression transformed his face completely, making him devastatingly handsome instead of merely intimidating. They moved through the evening like dancers following choreography. Lucas introduced her to senators and CEOs, his arm never leaving her waist. She played her part perfectly, laughing at the right moments, touching his chest possessively when other women looked too long. But as the night wore on, the line between performance and reality began to blur. During dinner, a silver-haired man named Harrison Blackwood approached their table. Natalie felt Lucas tense beside her, his grip on his wineglass tightening until she feared it might shatter. "Lucas, my boy, I heard you'd finally found someone special." Blackwood's smile was razor-sharp. "I do hope she knows what she's getting into." "Harrison," Lucas's voice was ice. "How's the family?" "Thriving, thanks to your generous contributions over the years." Blackwood's eyes fixed on Natalie with uncomfortable intensity. "Though I wonder if Miss Brooks knows about your charitable work, particularly your support of the Riverside Children's Foundation." The blood drained from Natalie's face. Riverside, Emma's school district. The same foundation that had helped pay for Emma's medical bills when she'd been hospitalized with pneumonia last winter. Bills that Natalie had never questioned how she could afford. "Enjoy your evening," Blackwood said, walking away with the satisfied air of a man who'd just detonated a bomb. Lucas's jaw was rigid as granite. "We need to leave, now." They rode the elevator down in crushing silence. In the parking garage, Natalie finally found her voice. "You've been watching me, haven't you?" Her words echoed off the concrete walls. "The foundation payments, Emma's medical bills. You knew exactly who I was before you made that proposition." Lucas turned to face her, and for the first time she saw something raw and vulnerable in his green eyes. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." Her voice broke. "Tell me why you chose me." He stepped closer, close enough that she could see the shadow of stubble along his jaw, smell his cologne mixed with something darker. "Because you're the only person in my life who's never wanted anything from me, until now." "What does that mean?" "It means," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "that you and I have more in common than you know. And it means that what started as a business arrangement is about to become very, very dangerous." Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his face went white. "We need to go, right now." His voice was sharp with panic. "Someone knows about us. Damn. And they're going to use it to destroy everything." Lucas drove like a man possessed, his knuckles white against the steering wheel as rain lashed the windshield. Natalie gripped the door handle, her heart hammering against her ribs. City lights blurred past in streaks of neon and shadow. "Where are we going?" she demanded. "Somewhere safe." "Yes." His voice was clipped, dangerous. "Somewhere they can't find us." Who are they?" But even as she asked, pieces began falling into place. Harrison Blackwood's knowing smile. The way Lucas had tensed when the man approached. The foundation payments that had mysteriously covered Emma's medical bills. Lucas pulled into an underground garage beneath a nondescript building downtown. The concrete walls seemed to press in around them as he led her to an elevator that required a keycard and retinal scan. "Jesus, Lucas, what is this place?" "My insurance policy." The elevator opened onto a sparse apartment that looked more like a safe house than a home. Security monitors lined one wall, showing feeds from cameras positioned around the city. Lucas moved to a computer terminal and began typing rapidly. 5 years ago, I discovered that Montgomery Innovations was being used as a front for money laundering, he said without looking at her. Dirty money from arms deals, human trafficking, drug cartels, all flowing through companies I thought I controlled. Natalie's blood turned to ice. What did you do? What I had to do. Started collecting evidence. Names, transactions, offshore, accounts, everything I needed to bring down the network. He turned to face her, and she saw the weight of 5 years' worth of secrets in his eyes. But I needed leverage, insurance. So I started helping their victims. Quietly, anonymously. The foundation payments. Emma's medical bills were paid. By money I skimmed from their operations. Money that should have gone to fund misery and death instead helped save your daughter's life. Natalie staggered backward, her mind reeling. You used us. You made Emma and me targets. I made you my weakness, he said quietly. Now they know it. The security monitors flickered and Lucas cursed. On screen, black SUVs surrounded the building. Men in tactical gear poured out, weapons drawn, in maybe 3 minutes. Lucas said, grabbing a duffel bag from a hidden compartment. There's a tunnel that leads to the subway system. I'm not going anywhere with you. Natalie's voice shook with rage and terror. I'm calling the police. The police can't help you now. Half of them are on Blackwood's payroll. Grabbed her shoulders, his grip desperate. Natalie, listen to me. They will kill Emma to get to me. They will kill you. The only way to keep her safe is to disappear. No. Tears streamed down her face. I won't leave my daughter. You won't have to. Lucas pulled out his phone and showed her a text message. The words made her knees buckle. We have the girl. Come alone, or she dies. Attached was a photo of Emma, unconscious in the back of a van. He took her from the babysitter's house 20 minutes ago, Lucas said. This is my fault. It's all of it. But I swear to you I will get her back. How? Natalie's voice was barely a whisper. Right. By giving them what they want. He reached into the bag and pulled out a flash drive. 5 years of evidence, enough to destroy their entire operation, but also enough to put me in prison for the rest of my life. The sound of explosions echoed from above. They were running out of time. There's something else, Lucas said, his voice breaking. Something you need to know before we do this. What? Emma isn't just some random victim. I chose to help. His green eyes filled with anguish. She's my daughter, Natalie. And I've been watching over both of you since the day she was born. The revelation hit her like a physical blow. Emma's green eyes. The way she sometimes tilted her head just like Lucas did. The father's name Natalie had left blank on the birth certificate because she'd been too afraid to put down the truth. One night she whispered, 9 years ago, the Montgomery Industries Christmas party, you were a temp. Oh, I was drunk and grieving my father's death. We both made a mistake we never talked about. His voice was raw with pain. But Emma was never a mistake. She's the only good thing I've ever done. More explosions. Closer now. They'll trade her for the drive, Lucas said. But the moment I hand it over, we're all dead. Unless what? Unless you can forgive me long enough to help me save our daughter. The warehouse at the docks reeked of salt water and rotting fish. Fog rolled off the harbor, muffling the distant sounds of the city as Lucas and Natalie approached the meeting point. She clutched the flash drive in her palm, her knuckles white. With tension, the plan was desperate, dangerous, and their only hope. Remember, Lucas whispered, as they walked through the maze of shipping containers, you don't know me. You're just a terrified mother who wants her daughter back. I am a terrified mother who wants her daughter back, she hissed. This isn't acting anymore, Lucas. This is survival. They emerged into a clearing where Harrison Blackwood waited with 6 armed men. Mess sat in a chair 20 feet away. Her small frame trembling, but her eyes bright with the fierce spirit that had always reminded Natalie of her own stubbornness. Now she knew where that fire really came from. Lucas, my boy. Blackwood's voice echoed off the metal walls. You've caused us considerable trouble over the years. Let her go, Harrison. The drive contains everything you want. 5 years of evidence, erased and worthless. Oh, I don't think so. Blackwood smiled like a shark. You see that evidence? Isn't the real problem. The problem is what you represent. a loose end that needs to be tied up permanently. One of the gunmen stepped forward, and Natalie's heart stopped. It was Detective Martinez, the police officer who'd taken her statement when her apartment had been broken into 3 months ago. The break-in she'd assumed was random, but now realized had been a search for evidence of her connection to Lucas. Surprise? Blackwood chuckled. Detective Martinez has been very helpful in keeping us informed about our mutual friend here, including the touching reunion tonight. Lucas's face went white. You're working for them? I'm working for my family. Martinez said, his gun trained on Emma. My daughter needs surgery, and these gentlemen offered to pay for it, just like they paid for your daughter's medical bills, courtesy of Mr. Montgomery's generous donations. The pieces clicked into place with horrible clarity. Martinez had access to police records, medical files, school information. He'd been feeding Blackwood intelligence about Lucas's charitable activities, helping them identify his weaknesses. The babysitter, Natalie, breathed. You told them where to find Emma. I told them how to protect her, Martinez said, but his voice lacked conviction. Once Montgomery's dead, the girl will be safe. Blackwood keeps his word. Like he kept his word about your daughter's surgery, Lucas asked. Check your bank account, Martinez. I guarantee that money never arrived. Something flickered in Martinez's eyes. Doubt. Fear. He's lying, Blackwood said smoothly. It's just like he's been lying to Miss Brooks for months. Did he tell you about his other charity cases? The single mothers whose children mysteriously received medical care, education funding, protection? Shh. Weren't special, my dear. You were just convenient. The words hit Natalie like bullets, each one designed to shatter her resolve. But as she looked at Emma, at her daughter's terrified but defiant face, she realized something. It didn't matter why Lucas had chosen her. It only mattered that Emma was in danger. The drive, she said, holding it up. You want this? He'll let my daughter walk out of here now. I'm afraid that's not how this works, Blackwood said. You see, we've decided that the Montgomery bloodline ends tonight. All of it. 2 gunmen raised their weapons toward Emma, and Natalie's world went white with rage. She lunged forward, but Lucas was faster. He tackled the nearest gunman, his fist connecting with the man's jaw in a sickening crack. Run, he shouted too. Emma, but the little girl was zip-tied to the chair. Ack! Chaos erupted. Martinez hesitated for a crucial second, torn between duty and conscience, and that second cost Blackwood everything. Lucas rolled behind a shipping container as bullets sparked. Off metal. Natalie dove toward Emma, her fingers frantically working at the plastic restraints. Ami, Emma cried, and Natalie's heart shattered at the terror in her daughter's voice. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. A bullet whined past her ear. She looked up to see Lucas fighting hand-to-hand with 2 gunmen, while Blackwood screamed orders. Martinez stood frozen, his weapon lowered, staring at his phone screen in horror. The surgery money, he whispered. It's gone. It's gone. They never transferred it. They never planned to, Lucas gasped, driving his elbow into a gunman's ribs. That's how they operate. It's promises and betrayals. Martinez looked at Emma, at the innocent child caught in a war she never asked to be part of. His daughter's face flashed in his mind, and he made his choice. He turned his gun on Blackwood. Let them go. Don't be a fool, Martinez, Blackwood snarled. You'll never see your daughter again if you cross me. Maybe not, Martinez said, but I'll be able to look at myself in the mirror. The standoff stretched for heartbeats. Then Blackwood smiled. Actually, he said, I have a better idea. He pulled out a detonator, and Natalie's blood turned to ice as she saw the charges placed around the warehouse walls. If I can't have the evidence, Blackwood said, then nobody can. You have 30 seconds to decide who lives and who dies. The drive for the girl. Choose quickly. Lucas met Natalie's eyes across the chaos, and in that moment, she saw him make a decision that would haunt her forever. I'm sorry, he whispered, and threw the real flash drive toward the harbor waters beyond the warehouse wall. The flash drive hit the water with a soft splash that seemed to echo like thunder in the sudden silence. Blackwood's face twisted with rage as he realized Lucas had just destroyed 5 years of evidence and any leverage they had. You magnificent bastard, Blackwood breathed, his finger hovering over the detonator. You just killed us all. But Lucas was smiling, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. Did I? Before anyone could react, the warehouse doors exploded inward. FBI agents poured through the breach, their tactical lights cutting through. The fog and darkness. Special Agent Sarah Chen led the charge, her weapon trained on Blackwood. Federal agents, drop your weapons. Martinez immediately raised his hands, relief flooding his face. The other gunman hesitated, trapped between Blackwood's fury and federal firepower. How? Blackwood demanded, his grip tightening on the detonator. Did you really think I'd put all my evidence on one drive? Lucas pushed himself to his feet, moving to shield Natalie and Emma. I've been feeding information to Agent Chen for months. Tonight was just the final act. It's the fake relationship. Natalie whispered, understanding flooding through her. You needed witnesses. People who could testify about your connections to the foundation, your legitimate business activities, and I needed to draw them out. Make them desperate enough to reveal themselves completely. Lucas's eyes never left Blackwood. Every conversation tonight was recorded. Every threat, every admission of guilt. Blackwood's laugh was bitter. Clever. But it doesn't matter. His thumb moved toward the detonator button. If I'm going down, I'm taking all of you with me. Harrison, don't. The voice came from behind him. Detective Martinez stepped closer, his weapon still raised. My daughter is 8 years old. It's just like Emma. I won't let you hurt another child because of the choices we made. You sanctimonious. Fool, Blackwood snarled. You think the FBI will protect you? You think they'll forgive what you've done? Maybe not, Martinez said quietly. But maybe I can live with myself again? The shot rang out before anyone could react.
Martinez's
Bullet took Blackwood in the shoulder, sending him spinning. The detonator flew from his hand, clattering across the concrete floor. Agent Chen was on it instantly, securing the device while her team moved to arrest the remaining gunman. Blackwood writhed on the ground, his empire crumbling around him. As handcuffs clicked into place, Are you hurt? Lucas asked, reaching for Emma. But the little girl shrank back, terror still bright in her green eyes. She doesn't know you, Natalie said softly. You're a stranger to her. The words cut deeper than any blade. Lucas knelt down slowly, his hands visible and non-threatening. Emma, he said gently, my name is Lucas. I work with your mommy. Going to help make sure the bad men never hurt you again, okay? Emma looked between her mother and this man who had fought to save her. Are you really my daddy? The question hung in the air like smoke. Lucas glanced at Natalie, seeking permission. Seeking forgiveness, seeking a chance he didn't deserve. Yes, Natalie said finally, he is. Why didn't you tell me? Lucas felt his heart breaking. Because I wasn't good enough to be your daddy yet. I had to become someone better first. Emma studied him with the serious expression that was so like his own. Are you better now? I'm trying to be. She nodded gravely. Okay, but I get to decide if you can stay. Despite everything, Lucas smiled. That sounds fair. 6 months later, Natalie stood in the same warehouse. Now converted into a community center funded by the Montgomery Foundation. Emma played with other children in the space where they'd once feared for their lives, her laughter echoing off walls that had witnessed so much darkness. Lucas appeared beside her, moving quietly as he always did now. Prison had been avoided thanks to his cooperation with the FBI, but the weight of his choices had changed him, made him gentler, more careful with the trust others placed in him. She's incredible, he said, watching their daughter organize the other kids into some complex game involving pirates and princesses. She gets that from you, Natalie replied. The leadership thing. The way she makes people follow her. The stubbornness is all you. They stood in comfortable silence, their relationship still fragile but growing stronger each day. Emma had decided Lucas could stay, but only on probation. He was earning her trust one day at a time. One story at bedtime, one scraped knee kissed better. Any regrets? Lucas asked. Natalie considered the question. Her life had been turned upside down, her sense of safety shattered and slowly rebuilt. She'd learned that the man she'd once dismissed as cold and calculating was actually broken in ways that mirrored her own. They were both damaged people trying to protect what mattered most. Ask me in another 6 months, she said. Emma ran over, her face flushed with excitement. Mommy, Lucas, look what I built. She dragged them over to see an elaborate fort constructed from cardboard boxes and imagination. Above the entrance, she'd written home in crayon letters. It's perfect, Lucas said, and meant it. As the sun set through the warehouse windows, painting everything in shades of gold and amber, Natalie realized that sometimes the most broken people could build the strongest foundations. Sometimes the greatest risks led to the most unexpected rewards, and sometimes love grew in the spaces between secrets, taking root in soil watered by tears and fertilized by forgiveness. Emma grabbed both their hands, pulling them toward her cardboard castle. Come on, she said. I'll show you the inside. They followed their daughter home, hearts full of hope and the promise of tomorrow. The end.